The big idea, which is counterintuitive to most people, is that how you show up, how you say it, is often much more important than your actual content. Why did I become an executive coach? I saw lots of great people fail to get ahead at work, while their much less talented peers blew right past them. That made me furious, but also curious. What were great people getting wrong? It came down to helping them re-examine what drove success and then helping them make critical shifts, one hard truth at a time.
Feel like you're doing everything you were told, but you're not moving ahead at work nor having the impact you seek? Then welcome to 97% Effective with Michael Wenderoth, where we skip feel-good, happy talk and engage experts in pointed conversations about what it really takes to move the needle at work and your career. So if you feel stalled or frustrated, or seek that extra edge as you move to the next level, then look no further. This is the Hard Truths Playbook you never got.
Hi, I'm Michael Wenderoth, and you're listening to 97% Effective. They just don't show up like a leader. Have you ever had that said about you, or felt and said it about someone else? More importantly, what does one do with this feedback? If you really want to improve your presence in communication and be seen more like a leader, what do? In fact, this is the number one area, presence in communication, that keeps great people from getting promoted and making an impact. In today's short episode, I'm highlighting 3 practical insights from past guests, all of whom come from the world of acting. Their insights will help you show up more strongly like a leader, to inspire, to persuade, to deliver tough news. Their insights applied will immediately elevate your leadership ratings. The big idea, which is counterintuitive to most people, is that how you show up, how you say it, is often much more important than your actual content. Hard truth. In today's brief mini episode, we'll do 3 things. We'll zero in on what's important when you communicate, so those leadership ratings and executive presence ratings rise. We'll share 3 powerful and practical insights, and we'll end with how you can apply them at work. First, what's most important when it comes to presence and communication? The answer to that is our first critical insight, and it came in my interview with Chip Davis, voice acting coach, when I asked him if leaders need to act. Listen here. Leadership and acting. There are those who say leaders need to act. Any particular strong views on that?
A leader needs to be able to perform competence. And as we all know, usually we're all terrified. And the biggest thing I've noticed, the higher up the chain, the more you feel like, I can't be afraid. I have to be able to do this. I have to get through. I have to show strength. As an actor, you have to embrace that fear. If you deny that fear, you get into things such as tension. Tension reads. And I don't want to be around someone, or I don't want to be led by someone who is tense.
Embrace that fear. Chip's phrase is brilliant. Perform competence. It really makes you stop and think. What does he mean? Think about your next meeting, your next speech, the next contentious work situation you're heading into. What does it mean for you in that situation to perform competence? The takeaway? What does your audience need to hear, see, feel, take away from you? And what do you need to channel to make that happen? Chip should know. Classically trained as an actor at Juilliard in New York, Chip went on to work for HBO Sports and now produces audiobooks and coaches talented artists and executives to deliver their message with impact. In fact, I found Chip so insightful that I've used him to produce the show and direct me when I recorded the audio of my award-winning book, Get Promoted. Expanding on Chip's notion of perform competence come our next two practical tips. One is from an introvert turned keynote speaker, the other from an acclaimed theater director. The first comes from Richard Newman, founder and CEO of Body Talk. Richard's insight is about the outsized impact your body language has on how others perceive you. His research, which has been published in peer-reviewed scientific journals, showed you can elevate your leadership ratings by more than 40% simply by adjusting your posture and hands. Moreover, that research showed this body language is universal, that it had the same impact regardless of your race or gender. The problem, however, with getting people to embrace new communication habits, even those with sound findings, is that many people will say, but getting up there, even using this new body language, what if doing that isn't me? What if doing that doesn't really feel like my authentic self? Richard hears that training others, and I get that objection as an executive coach all the time. In my wide-ranging conversation with Richard, he suggests that you should stop thinking about what is authentic and instead think about what is being congruent. It's a subtle but important distinction. Listen to our conversation here.
Authenticity doesn't necessarily mean honesty, and authenticity definitely doesn't mean just be yourself. Because the biggest mistake I think people make around communication is they say, all I need to do is just go in there and be myself. But if you're doing that, what you're saying is you're going to take all of the bad habits that you've built up over a lifetime until today, and you're going to take those in and present those to people and pretend that that's you. And so what I'd like everyone to question is that who you are right now is just a set of habits. It doesn't define you. It's not your complete identity. It's certainly not your complete potential. It's just the habits that you have, the survival habits, the coping habits, the communication habits that you've got into, and they are not who you are. Rather than think about the word authenticity, think about congruency. What somebody needs to see from you, if you're going to be the ambassador of the company or if you're going to be leading a group of people, they need to see that your body language, your tone of voice, and your words go in the same direction. Because you can be honest and seen to be as inauthentic and seen to be someone who's not trustworthy because your body language, tone of voice, and words seem to have a mismatch.
The takeaway? Make sure your powerful body language, which can be learned, is congruent with the message that you want to deliver and what your audience needs to sense. And remember that your authentic self is always evolving. If you feel you're fixed, that might actually be holding you back. You might even be channeling a set of habits, as Richard calls it, that you have built or relied on over time that won't serve you in this new moment.
You've been listening to 97% Effective with your host, Executive Coach Michael Wenderoth. If this interview is making you think, make sure to share it with a friend. Now, back to our interview.
And our third and final insight came from acclaimed theater director Tamzin Townsend, who's been called the Queen Midas of the theater. While Richard focused on body language, Tamzin focused on the importance of tone of voice to bring energy. Directing theater and training C-suite executives, she shared and showed quite brilliantly how a flat delivery can sink your content, while amazing delivery, don't let out this secret, can even elevate the subpar and mundane. I'm actually quite fond of the old saying, you cannot buff a turd. But you and I know, because we've seen it, We've all seen an average peer present a mediocre idea stunningly well, leading to great reviews and even promotions. Listen here as Queen Midas and I spoke about energy and tone.
I have this whole thing about energy. The energy that you give is the energy that you will get back to you. So I spend a lot of time doing things that generate energy so that people get the idea that when you're on stage, which for me really just means when you're in the spotlight. So when you're giving a presentation, when you're speaking to a team of one or a team of 5,000, it's all the same. You need that communicating energy. The one thing that's really awful is when somebody's content is brilliant and it's delivered in an awful way. That's the terrible one, when you just think, oh no, that, no. And a lot for me is in the voice. It's vocal energy. I mean, our voice can do so much. It's the absolute, well, I mean, we're talking this is a podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, if you and I were speaking in a low monotone, I'm sure anybody who will be listening to this will switch off, switch out, zone out, will just give up. You can't. So yes, the voice can do so much. And I do believe that a lot of energy is in the voice. And so when people say, well, so-and-so doesn't sound like a leader, I think it's about that energy, that determination, that literal communication with my tone.
I really enjoyed how Tamzin not only shared it, but showed it. Her changes in cadence, her rise and fall in tone. And most important, in a noisy world, her powerful and dramatic pause. The power of silence. That interview with her, in fact, brings back some of the fun and playfulness we all need at work. And the takeaway? Think about your energy and what your voice is transmitting. In fact, maybe you should spend less time on the content and more time reading your speech out loud. To end our episode, what are you going to do? How can you harness the wisdom from these three masters of the dramatic arts to elevate your communication and executive presence? Now, you could and probably should work with them or take a short acting or improv class. But in place of that, do these three things as you prepare your next speech, meeting, or one-on-one. First, consider what your audience needs and what it means for you to perform competence. That provocative phrase from voice acting coach and former HBO producer Chip Davis. Second, think about your body language, about congruency instead of authenticity. Channel what body talk expert Richard Newman says is the universal body language that needs to be paired with your message. And third, play with tone and even the power of silence. Channel Queen Midas, acclaimed theater director Tamzin Townsend. By doing these three things, which are way more important than your slides, you'll elevate your leadership ratings, have more fun, and be well on your way to becoming 97% effective. For more information, check out these episodes in full. You'll sense immediately that you are in the presence of strong communicators. You can also listen to the newly released audiobook of Get Promoted, where Chip Davis got me thinking about how the voice is an underutilized and powerful tool. Until next week.
Thanks for listening to 97% Effective, where we skip happy talk and help you break through and ascend, one hard truth at a time. Help others discover this show. Leave a review and rating wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you like what you heard, you can get free resources, including the first chapters of Michael's book, get promoted on his website, www.changwenderoth.com. That's www.changwenderoth.com.